Hello YouTube fam, thank you for joining me today. My name is Gina Marie, and this is where I come to discuss solved and unsolved true crime cases, crime facts and statistics, and missing person cases that I don't feel have gotten enough attention from mainstream media. If you're interested in these types of cases the way I am, I do hope that you will subscribe to my channel, and if you hit that little bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will notify you whenever I upload new content. The topics that I discuss are intended for mature audiences only, so viewers' discretion is definitely advised. Today, I am going to talk to you about a couple of missing person cases that I don't feel have gotten enough attention on mainstream media. The first case that I would like to talk to you about today is that of Bryce Laspisa, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Bryce was 19 years old when he went missing on August 30th, 2013. He was born on April 30th, 1994, to Karen and Michael Laspisa in Springfield, Illinois. His parents retired, and the family moved to California, settling in Laguna Niguel, Orange County. Shortly after moving to California with his parents, Bryce decided to move to North Chico, begin studying graphic and industrial design at Sierra College. And this is located approximately 3.5 hours to the north of where his parents live. His first year in college went well. He made good grades. He made friends. He got close with his roommate, Sean Dixon, as well as his new girlfriend, Kim Sly. Everything was really going well until the first 2 weeks of his second year. And at that time, he began experimenting with drugs. He became depressed, and for unknown reasons, he acted erratically and was consistently withdrawn. His roommate thought that he was acting so erratically that he decided to call his mom. And the reason for that is because on August 27th, 2013, Bryce sent him an odd text message saying, quote, "I love you, bro. Seriously. You're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul," unquote. So later that day, he also gave him his video games and his diamond earrings that he had gotten from his mom. His roommate called his mom and told him that he was concerned about his behavior, and later the same day that his roommate had called his mom, Bryce ended up calling his mom from Kim's house. Apparently Kim was so worried about Bryce and the way he was behaving that she took his car keys from him. She didn't want him to drive. His mother successfully talked her into giving Bryce his keys back, and she offered to fly out to come and check on him, but he declined and said that he would come out and visit. He'd drive down and visit the following day. Around 11 a.m. the following day, Karen, his mom, was notified that her son had used her insurance roadside assistance service. Her mom contacted a man named Christian, who owned Castro Tire and Gas in the town of Buttonwillow. Christian stated that Bryce contacted his company because Bryce had run out of gas, and Christian delivered 3 gallons of gas to Bryce at about 9 a.m. that morning. He told Karen that he would be willing to go back to the spot that he had seen Bryce in order to see if he was still there. Upon arrival, Christian had discovered that Bryce was indeed still in the same spot. Christian told Bryce that his parents were very worried about him, and Bryce agreed to go ahead and continue on his journey to his parents' home. Christian watched as he drove off and then notified his mom that he was on his way and seemed fine. This was around 3 p.m. on August 29th, 2013. About 4 or 5 hours later, when he still did not arrive at his parents' home, his parents filed a missing persons report with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. 2 officers tracked Bryce's cell phone to a location that was actually only a few miles from where he had gotten that emergency gas. They spoke to Bryce and searched his car, and the officers reported that there were no drugs or alcohol found in his vehicle, and that Bryce was friendly and lucid and showed no signs of intoxication. They asked if he'd be willing to call his mom. He seemed a little bit reluctant, and so they dialed the phone for him. He spoke to his mom, and then he headed off, presumably towards his parents' home. On August 30th, Bryce called his mom at 2 a.m. This was the final time that she spoke to her son. He let her know that he was tired. He was going to pull over to the side of Interstate I-5 to catch a nap before continuing on towards her home because he was just too tired to drive. And he told her that he was in the Sierra Paloma Mountains. She agreed that pulling over was a good idea, figured she'd see him in the morning, but unfortunately that was not to be. 6 hours after that last phone call, a highway patrol officer knocked on Karen's door. Bryce's car had been located, abandoned, near Castaic Lake. The rear window was shattered, and inside the car they found Bryce's wallet, cell phone, and laptop. There was no trace of Bryce anywhere near the car. Surveillance footage later showed that Bryce did not pull over for a nap along the roadside of I-5. Instead, he pulled onto an access road near a river, and divers searched and found no trace of him in that water. Later, police dogs were brought out, and they tracked his scent across a bridge and into a truck stop that was located nearby. That's where the trail ended. He has never been found. Was he a victim of foul play? Did he commit suicide? And if so, how have they not found his body yet? Did he hitch a ride with a trucker and start a new life somewhere else? It's been over 8 years that have passed since his parents have talked to him, and they are no closer to knowing what happened to their son. Bryce had red hair, blue eyes, was 5'11", 160 to 170 pounds, may have his ears pierced. He had a tattoo of a Taurus bullhead with Roman numerals on his upper left arm, and was last seen wearing a blue and white checkered shirt, white cargo shorts, and red and white Nike shoes. In this description box below this video, I will have contact information so that you can contact them if you have any information regarding his disappearance or his current location. If you know something, please say something. The next story that I want to talk to you about is the story of Daniel Robinson. Daniel Robinson was a 23-year-old geologist when he went missing near Buckeye, Arizona. His disappearance has been a mystery that his family are eager to solve. Daniel was last seen leaving a job site in Buckeye, Arizona near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road at about 9:15 in the morning of June 23, 2021. A federal law enforcement officer told Daniel's father that he actually saw him later that morning, alive and well, cleaning his vehicle, which was a 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade, and that the Jeep had no visible signs of damage at the time of their interaction. He also stated that he and Daniel spoke of target practicing for a short time. Daniel seemed clear-headed during their conversation. Almost a month later, after his disappearance, a rancher found Daniel's Jeep. It was flipped and wrecked in a dry ravine on the rancher's property. The airbag had been deployed. Inside of the Jeep, police found Daniel's wallet, cell phone, keys, and some of his clothing. Daniel's father had moved from his home in South Carolina to Arizona in order to search for his son. The police were not acting with enough urgency for his father, so he took matters into his own hands. He facilitated multiple searches for Daniel and continues to do so to this day. He distributed thousands of flyers and even hired a private investigator that specializes in crash reconstructions. According to this private investigator, the scene where the Jeep was located was staged to look as though that is where the accident took place. He believes that the Jeep was involved in an accident elsewhere and then brought to the final location to throw them off of their investigation. Evidence from the Jeep's little black box seems to substantiate those claims. There was also paint, possibly from another vehicle, on the Jeep, paint that the final location did not have anywhere around. Also, the black box showed that the ignition was turned over 46 times after the airbags was deployed. And there was also an additional 11 miles driven on the Jeep after the airbags deployed. Needless to say, this evidence brings up more questions than answers. I know I have a few questions. Have they already searched the 11 miles from the ravine where the Jeep was located in every direction looking for an accident scene? Did Daniel get into a fender bender and maybe the altercation ensued afterwards that led to his disappearance or death? Maybe he was critically injured in that accident and the other party panicked, maybe hit his body and staged the Jeep accident elsewhere to throw off police. I have no idea. It has been nearly 9 months with no answers. There's no answers leading to where Daniel is or what happened to him. It's clear that his family will not quit until they find him, and rightfully so. I mean, would you? Somebody else out there knows what happened. If you happen to know anything, no matter how insignificant you might think it is, please say something. You might actually hold the key to finding Daniel and giving his family some closure. Daniel was a 23-year-old black male. He was 165 pounds and stood 5'8" tall. He had black, short hair, brown eyes, and was missing his right hand and part of his right forearm. Again, in the description box for this video, I have contact information for who you can call with any information that you may have, and you may always remain anonymous. And the last case that I wanted to talk to you about today is that of Brandon Swanson's disappearance. Brandon Swanson was 19 years old when he went missing. He went missing on May 13th, 2008 from Porter, Minnesota. Brandon was born on January 30th, 1989 in Marshall, Minnesota. He graduated from Marshall High School in 2007 and chose to study for a year at the Minnesota West Community and Technical College campus in Canby. For the end of the school year, the last day of school was May 13th, 2008. Swanson stayed out by the school, hung out with friends to celebrate the end of the school year. He went to 2 different parties that has been stated. I'm not sure if it was exactly 2 or if he just party hopped. Everybody said he was drinking, but also everybody that saw him drinking did say that he did not have enough to make him visibly intoxicated. Swanson left to drive home supposedly before midnight. It was only a 30-mile drive, but just before 2 a.m. in the morning, he called his parents on his cell phone and told them that he drove his Chevy Lumina off the road into a ditch and he could not get the car out of the ditch. He said he was not hurt. He asked them to come and pick him up. Annette and Brian were his parents. They got up, they got into their pickup truck, and they headed towards where he said he was at, but he was not there. They kept him on the phone while they were looking for him. He flashed his lights. They did not see his car flashing lights, so they flashed their lights and he did not see them. Finally, he gave up. He was frustrated. He told them he was just going to leave the car behind, walk towards a light that he could see in the distance. He thought he was near Lyon, which is a small town roughly 7 miles southwest of Marshall. He told his dad to head for the parking lot of a local bar and wait for him there. His dad began driving towards there while still talking to his son. Shortly after 2:30 in the morning, which was 47 minutes into the entire phone call, Brandon suddenly interrupted himself, screaming on the phone, "Oh shit," and then he went silent for the remainder of the call. His parents finally hung up because it was just a dead line. They weren't getting any response from him at this point. They hung up and tried to call back with no answer. When he had not been seen or heard from at by 6:30 in the morning, his parents reported him missing to the Lyon Police Department. At first, the cops told him that it was hardly unusual for men that age to stay out all night, and especially at the end of classes. Annette Swanson specifically said that she remembered one officer telling her that it was Brandon's right to be missing as he was grown up. The police finally started to search later that day. They found no trace of him anywhere in or around the town of Lyon. Then they decided to check his phone records, and those revealed that he had been calling from the vicinity along State Highway 68, which is the main route to Canby, northwestern Marshall, which is 25 miles from Lyon. He was mistaken on where he had been, and so when they searched the area that his phone records showed that he had been in, they discovered his abandoned car in a ditch off a gravel road along Lincoln County line, which is a mile north of Highway 68, and they did find that the car was hung up on the top of an incline on the edge of the road. It was not seriously damaged. It was not damaged enough to have injured him, but they could see why he couldn't get it out. It was high-centered. Police dogs caught his scent and followed it for 3 miles, and it looked as though it went directly into a river. They searched the river and all of its tributaries, but they found no sign of him. They've been searching for years. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Brandon, there's also going to be a phone number for these departments that you can call. Stay anonymous if you must, but if you know something about his location or about what happened to him the day he disappeared, please call and tell somebody. For all of these cases, I hope you looked at the pictures of these people. If you know anything, I do hope you will say something. Until the next video, y'all stay safe out there.